As you can tell from the title of the video, we're going to be doing a orb ranking. So I've got a little bit of a different tier list, and I should mostly be slotting things into all of these rows. However, I may need to add in a new row. I'm not exactly sure what it would be. I've added in all the ones that I think I'll need. But anyway, let's jump straight into it. Some of these animations are odd, but we will roll with it. I believe this is meant to be Activate Orb. Activate Orb has its uses. I'd say it's pretty useless in general. I don't know, I really don't find myself taking Activate Orb that much. I should preface, by the way, I don't have the best relationship with orbs. I generally won't pick up like any orbs unless they're going to enhance my game plan, which means that I'll probably be rating a lot of orbs a lot lower than you yourself may find you taking them, and maybe I'll just be a bit harsher in general. Anyway, All or Nothing. I like All or Nothing quite a bit. I'd say very solid works. It's got some great potential on a lot of classes is the thing. In particular, I love it on Belen is probably where I like it the most because it's just so nice to actually, like, if you are doing positive crit comp, for example, being able to find an All or Nothing is just super nice. I think this is a leftover animation from All or Nothing. We have Accentuate. Accentuate is solid. I'd say it has its uses. If you can get Chess Piece to balance out the other side effect of it, that's good. Or if you can find any of the many Miss Circle boosts, so either gaining bulk when you get Miss Circle, further boosting that bulk, or trying to boost the Miss Circle via training weight, or what's the Mask of Joy, also good. We have Ballad, so very low initial damage, but the scaling that it gives is really quite good. So if you can take that time early on, you're going to get some really good scaling from it. It's between very solid and has its uses. I think I'll say has its uses. Unfortunately, the low damage that it has just means that it doesn't have the high impact that you immediately want, rather than, let's say, like Nimble has, where Nimble's probably getting an amazing shot while it's also stacking you. Although they're pretty comparable, but I think I'll be putting Nimble a bit higher. Spinfectious Sting. Now, this is a bit silly. I don't actually like Spinfectious Sting that much, and I don't take it that much. But I think that Spinfectious Sting is a good pickup to just try and kill a boss better. Because it can melt single target bosses, it gets through a lot of their health pool, as well as its common Spinfection. And sometimes you have the Spinfection combo pieces, but you don't actually have any way to like apply Spinfection, and this is the way to apply Spinfection, as well as I think the damage in general that it has, especially against single target bosses, is probably just pretty good. The main reason why I'm putting it is because it's common, so it's quite easy to find, and I feel like a lot of the time you want to pick it up, it's because you want a better piece, like preferably Cauldron Bubble, which by the way is going to be much higher, shall we say. But you can't always find your Cauldron Bubbles, so that's where it goes. Best Foot Forb. I don't think Best Foot Forb is that good. I think it's interesting, but I find myself like never taking it, so I'm just going to chuck it right there. Bob, maybe it's a bit unfair to put in Insta-Take, but I feel like this massively impacts your runs in a positive way. It's a really good idea to take it. I'll put it in consistently take. I think Insta Take is probably a bit too high for it, but it's such a good orb. You want to pick it up so often, and sure, it is unfortunate that it sometimes doesn't deal damage, depending on like if you have spin originality or damage boosts, that kind of thing. But getting bombs is just so powerful. It's really, really helpful. Bolt Orb, it's been a while since I've used Bolt Orb. It's AoE. AoE always has its uses. Well, it's only ground AoE, which is part of the reason why I probably don't take it as much as well. And it's actually got decent upgrades. It is big, which can be a bit problematic. I personally, I would in the past I loved Bolt Orb a lot, but I've just been taking it less and less. So I think it's really good, but yeah, I think it probably deserves it. Well, there's no way I can put it anywhere else but S++. I mean, like, what did you expect from me, right? Like, Rubble just gets you so much damage against single target bosses. It does like just everything you want. It just feels so amazing to pick up Rubbles constantly, and it's common as well, so you can basically always find a Rubble if you want it, and you should basically always want a Rubble. It's just so good. I believe this is Bucklorb. I'm going to count this as Bucklorb. I think Bucklorb is not too bad because it still deals damage and it gets you a bit of shield. So if you have like Heavy Hand, or I'm not sure if Heavy Hand works, but like Constricting Chain or Machuska, anything that allows you to hit more pegs, yeah, you can probably get a fine amount of shield off of it, as well as you're still dealing damage. I think that you never really want it in your game plan, but if you just want to live, maybe it helps out. Cauldron Bubble. So this might be a bit contentious. I'm putting in S++. I think it's one of the best forms of AoE out there. Not only is it an amazing form of AoE, like sure, the damage isn't great, but also like it's an AoE that mirrors won't reflect at you, which is amazing. Like, obviously, that's a smaller thing that matters, but just having the fact that they don't reflect at you, it's so nice. But also, it's a really good debuff setup tool. And if you get any of the like debuff setup passives, which mostly I'm thinking about just letting this infection do damage, but even just getting one illusion whenever you apply a debuff, like it's actually applying quite a bit of debuffs. And of course, it stacks super well with any of your debuff applying passives. It's just super nice. Chemical Hazard. Now I think maybe I don't use Chemical Hazard whatsoever. I think this is Chemical Hazard. I'm treating it as Chemical Hazard. Oh no, it's Alleviation, isn't it? Food Company, Balm, Potion Bull, Splatter. No, that's Alleviation. This is definitely the Poison one. I do think the Poison one is actually better than I give it credit for. As I said, I don't usually take orbs, but I don't think they can serve me well. I think that if you're doing some upgrading, I think that you're actually going to get some good use out of this orb. But if you're not, I think you should definitely just not pick it up. I don't think it's worth it otherwise. So okay, now multi-ball is a very strong effect, as you'll see with my S++ later on. But this is only multiple 1, so it's much worse. However, it actually has pretty solid damage. So I think I can just chuck in very solid. Maybe it deserves B, but I feel like if you pick this up a lot, you're going to be pretty happy. The damage improvements aren't the craziest, but even a +1 improvement on a multi-ball orb is technically a +2 improvement, so not bad. Concentrication. Oh, I love Concentrication. I think it's a very cool orb that you can do some amazing shots with, to the point where, with my own bias, I'd probably put in A. I think B is probably a bit fairer of a place to put it. Picking up Concentrication versus Coin Dragon is super cool. Unfortunately, it is a bit on the rarer side, so you're not going to find as much. I feel like a lot more of my recent runs would actually have taken a Concentrication. Honestly, screw bias. I think it's really good for hitting refreshes, and a lot of my recent runs have had trouble hitting refreshes, so having access to it would have just been really nice. Crits are ballless. Now, triggering crits feels much stronger, especially in the last patch, rather than previous patches. I think that, I'll put in S. It could even go in S++. I think that triggering crits, most of the time, a lot of the time you can pick this up without even having the high roll on it, on round draw. And you're going to find the high roll on it, or on Peglin Tuition as well, which I believe are the only 2 classes you can find on, but I'm not fully sure about that. And it's really solid on both of them, because of course on round draw you've got a smaller pool, so you're more likely to find your crit stuff. And on Peglin Tuition you've got another option, so you're more likely to find it, but you've got a much larger pool as well. Now Dagger. Now Dagger as a starting orb is obviously pretty amazing. I'm going to put it in very solid, because it's not like, I don't think I can put it in S when I have the guideline of, it's not a guideline, it's like, okay, it's more of a guideline than a rule, I should say. Classic. Because I don't take it. Actually, I have taken it that one time. That one time was an outlier. That was specifically because the crit damage gave me some illusion. that was an outlier. It doesn't count. But I never take it. But it is really good on Peglin Tuition as your starting orb. It's actually like really quite nice. Two's Company, double damage pegs. I think it could be interesting. I don't know. I don't get use out of it, so it's very hard for me to judge. I'm sure that it could go in Please Buff. I could put it in Please Buff territory, but I don't use it, so it's kind of a bit unfair for me to place it there. We have Omegob. I hate Omegob. I don't hate it, but I still haven't unlocked Omegob on this account. Now, of course, on my previous account, I have actually played with Omegob, but that's not what this account has. So I have every single orb unlocked. That isn't like, there's some ones here which I don't think are orbs, but who knows? There's 2 all of nothings already, so I presume it's just a much broader spectrum of orbs, which may or may not be in the game. Yeah, look, Overflow's a good effect, but God, if you want a good Overflow orb, like what Bramble gets Overflow, and it's also like a pretty decent boss killer, like the peg downgrading is not nice. The thing's 2 times damage is so much better. That's why I like that boss passive. Like 2 times damage is such a good benefit that you're fine to take the -3 downgrading. But upgrading the Omegob as well is just so painful, and like with these pegs that have like high burst, if you're not getting the kill, you really don't want to have like your pegs on -3, because on Crucible, if that's your only orb, you just can't do anything. Like honestly, I'd say the downside on Omegob is better than what? Whatever. I'll just read it there, I guess. Anyway, moving on. Double. Now, I think I won't put an S consistently take, but it is very solid. So in particular, the best thing about Double is the upgrades it has, because instead of having +1/+2 upgrades, it has +2/+4. So while it does stand out as a 0/0, which is pretty mild, It gets upgraded to a 4-8, and this is for a Spinfection combo piece, which can actually deal a lot of damage with the new Crystal Catalyst. I'd say it's very solid a lot of the time you pick it up. I think A is a perfect spot for it. Double Trouble. Now, let me just. I see. It seems that I mistook Cirque for Double Trouble. I was actually rating it the other way around. No, I think yeah, Double Trouble. I rated it previously for Cirque, so I'll now try and rate Cirque. Yeah, I'd say high B. I think Cirque is the one that gets normal damage improvement. I'm not actually sure. It's a bit hard for me to rate, but it's multi-ball. It has its uses. I'll just put them both up here because they're both multi-ball and they both deal at least slightly decent damage. I'd say the one that leans on crits more is much better because you've got multi-ball. It's probably easier to hit that crit, and multi-ball with high damage is always really good. Speaking about multi-ball, we now have duplicate orb. I think it's called. Not fully sure. It has its uses. I'd say it was God. The thing is, I had that run and I expected to get a lot of use out of it, and I just didn't. So I don't know. Like I liked it so much more when it was released. So I've been feeling much more down on it. But part of the problem with it is it doesn't actually have that good of a base damage. So you're going to need a damage scaler, and sometimes you don't find that damage scaler. Echo. There is no shot I'm putting in anything but S++. Like, there's a reason why Rubble and Echo are right next to each other. Because you shoot your good Rubble, you get like 5k damage, then you shoot your Echo, you get like 5k damage plus extras. There's just a whole bunch of cool things you can do with Echo. Echo's AoE is just amazing. It's just really good in general. Ek, I'm just putting in S++ into take because I always take Ek. Like, it's either free healing if I need it. Sometimes you can even get an abuse case out of Ek where you're shooting it through like Morbid and it's proccing pegs, and then it goes off the board so you get to keep it in your deck. Or you turn it into cake and then you get plus 50 max health. So it's not. I don't know. The thing is, it's a healing orb, and healing orbs already aren't really orbs. So yeah. I like it. Honestly, I'll put it in very solid. The thing is, just taking it for the starting shield, it's actually worth it. And if you don't have crits on your board, it's extra good. I think it's really quite good. And if you have crit scaling as well, that's free benefits. We have Generator. I think the Generator is actually better than I give it credit for. I think that creating lightning pegs on the board could actually be very, very solid, but I don't use it at all. So, yeah. Poltergeist. Now, Poltergeist is AoE, except it's actually very low damage AoE, and it's quite weak into a lot of maps on Area 3. So for that reason, I'm definitely, I think I just have to put an S++ still, because, it's AoE, and it just absolutely obliterates pretty much all enemies, and that final upgrade on it is +1/+2, which getting a 2 crit damage on an AoE is absolutely amazing, especially since it drops from 4 to 6, I believe, which is a really big improvement, especially when Poltergeist is generally hitting more pegs than other AoEs. It's just a bit weaker in some maps in Area 3, unfortunately. Go for the Icicle. Now, if I still go for the Icicle more, I'd probably take it more. Go for the Icicle is mainly for abuse case scenarios where you're getting Branch of Ember. Apart from that, it's not really as interesting. But it's pretty much AoE, and it's really useful when it's useful. Like, it's absolutely amazing when it's useful. So I think I'll definitely just chuck it there. Balm, yeah. Oh, you know what? I feel like it's not an insta take, right? Like, I feel like a lot of these orbs. Okay, Poltergeist maybe. You know what, Poltergeist? There you go. You can be top of S tier. It's so good, but we have the wording insta take here. All of these are definitely insta take. I think the Poltergeist probably isn't. There have been a few times I've turned down Poltergeist just because I've already had a solid damage AoE source, and the damage that Poltergeist has early on is perhaps like it's not worth the cash that I would have to sink into it to get its damage to a good level. Did I just rate something? Yeah, Balm. Balm definitely just deserves it. It's a healing orb. It's insane. I should probably be putting in S++, but the fact that it doesn't get damage upgrades means that I pick it up slightly less, so I don't think it fits this kind of general guideline of insta-take. Highway Aubrey. Now, I wasn't the biggest fan of Highway Aubrey before until I found out two things. One is that Balan can do some stupid stuff with Highway Aubrey and constantly upgrading it to get more starting shield, which I think is an absolutely amazing interaction that it has, and is the main reason why I like it. And number two is now they've buffed it, so it actually gets +1 crit damage per upgrade for the first two upgrades, which is actually a pretty big deal. You're actually scaling much faster. Maybe it's +1/+1 as well. Like if it's +1/+1, that's pretty amazing. But yeah, no, I like it quite a bit. I'm putting up with this one because I'd say they're both on a similar level. I'd say if anything, this one is higher because after two upgrades, you're probably getting more shield on par shield. as well as the crit is still very, very worth it. On Belen, having access to a crit that is still pretty good is actually really, really nice. You don't really want to be full hedging onto a circle. If you can, just picking up an orb that has good crit damage on Belen can just be nice. Icicle, I'm just dropping it down B. It doesn't deserve to be in the same tier for Ghost the Icicle. It's actually amazing how much of a drop off there is between the two of them. I'm not sure why the two of them are in the game. It's funny, don't get me wrong, but they're pretty much the same orb except one is just strictly better. Maybe there's a rarity difference. If I had to, I don't think there's a rarity difference though. Anyway, Infernal, I am going to put you on the please buff tier, and this is for one reason and one reason alone. It's honestly not something specifically against Inferno, but I'm so sick of the Inferno event. Like, I don't want your Infernals in my deck. I never take Inferno, and that event is just so annoying. I don't think that Inferno should be removing 2 health every time you shoot it. I think that that's extremely, extremely steep to shoot an orb which isn't the most interesting. If I want to take an orb with good momentum, I'll take Grub Orb, and so that's the lighter part. If I want to pop bombs in one hit, why would I want to lose health for doing that? And if I want to pop shields in one hit, why don't I just take the anti-shield peg? Like, sure, it's combining all 3 of the things, you might say, which makes it better. But if I don't have healing, and you want me to burn 2 times, I'm shooting 2 health every time I'm trying to shoot this good orb, like, no, I'm not doing that, Chief. A. You notice most of these orbs just going in the A tier because, oh, you know what? Jekyll and Hyde, I'm putting in this. It's very good to have your orb constantly respawning, and sure, it has the poltergeist problem. It's just going to go into black holes on some maps. It's not going to get to do its fun, constant thing. But if you get like Alien's Rock or a good damage source, then it's going to be amazing for you. It's just really, really solid damage, and yeah, it's like the new Lightning Orb. It's just really, really good. Cobin Orb, I swear there was. Oh god, talking about this makes me feel like I'm going crazy. I swear there was a good Cobin Orb, and I can't seem to find any proof that there was ever a good Cobin Orb. Well, I mean, there's probably some of my previous videos, but I've got a lot of them, so I'll probably try and look for what Cobin Orb I thought was good, because there was a time where I actually did like Cobin Orb when it had really good base damage, and I cared less about it for the coins that it didn't proc, because the extra damage that it had it meant that it was dealing about normal damage, despite the fact that it couldn't proc coins, and still generating me cash depending on what kind of comp I was playing. But I'm not sure I like this Cobin Orb very much. I've heard good things about it, but I'll just put it in B. I'd say it has its uses. Probably going to pick it up sometimes. Laser Orb. Now, Laser Orb is definitely in the same kind of tier as Concentrication. That tier is probably B, but I'm just going to put it in A, because being able to just target a refresh and hit it is really quite good. Laser Orb can just get amazing shots off, and if you have good damage on it, it's going to hit a lot of pegs. Laser Orb can also get like under 100 damage shots off, which is much less fortunate when you've got like a level 3 laser when you're actually trying to get damage off of it. It's definitely a high variance orb, and sometimes it can just absolutely obliterate stuff, sometimes it doesn't. We have Lightning Orb. God. Okay, because of my previous runs, I think I just have to rate this in S++. I've just like constantly taken Lightning Orb, and it's been very good at the majority of my runs. I'll give that, like, not all of them, it's been the best, but it's just been so good so often that I think I just have to put an S++. The new Lightning Orb is just so fun, and it's very strong, and it's common for most classes. So you just end up taking it a lot of the time. It's just really quite good. Magnet. Now, actually, I like Magnet quite a bit, but I don't pick it up much because, as I said, I rate orbs pretty differently to how I rate passives. So I'll put it in high B. I think it could go in A. Yeah. I'd say it's like this kind of short momentum thing where you're trying to use it to hit a refresh or get really solid damage. I had that amazing clip, the last tier list video I did. I believe it played at the start of it. Oh, no. It wasn't during the tier list part, but it was me changing my view of magnetism in general. Yeah, I think it's decent. I miss old magnetism. I don't think the current version has it, but it can get some solid damage while the magnetism is up. Machuska, Machuska is the definition of S++. Well, it's not exactly, because, we have... Where is Summoning Circle? Hello? Apparently I can't find Summoning Circle. I'm sure I'll be able to find it later. But yeah, Summoning Circle is really good. Oh, that's terrible. I see. I cannot find Summoning Circle for the life of me. Well, we'll just find a substitute for that later. But yeah, hitting pegs is good. If you get a damage boost on Machuska... Do I really need to explain why Machuska is good? Like, hitting pegs is really good. There are so many ways you can gain benefits off of hitting pegs, and the low damage on it barely matters. So, yeah, it just absolutely deserves that spot. Memob, B has its uses. I'd say it probably has its uses. The damage that it has now is actually pretty legit. I took it early on, and maybe it's much more decent early on because, flat damage is obviously a lot more decent early on. but I just don't think it's particularly good. I even had aliens rock that run, but I didn't get a test out of level 3 version, so I'll keep my hopes up. I used to love them all. Now I'm much less stoked about it. Electrum. I'd say it's very solid. You want to pick it up? Okay, let's be real. I wanted to rate it in very solid, but then I remembered how many times I haven't taken Electrum recently. Oh no, I think it deserves very solid. Sure, I haven't taken it a lot, but it is just a solid pickup. A lot of the time, you can just afford to destroy a lot of your pegs because, like, either A, you've already finished out the fight, B, like you're creating and spamming a lot of bombs, so it doesn't matter, and it gets you a lot of cash. Like, it actually makes a pretty big difference in terms of how much cash you're getting. Jeez, alright. Mirror is very good. I'd say removing your deck is probably better than half your deck is probably better most of the time. But a lot of the time, Mirror can just hit a lot of the stuff you want. I'll take Mirror a lot. If you have managed to find the right number of removals, Morbid is going to be lovely for you. Morbid Orb, so we have normal damage improvements plus Morbid. So it's kind of crazy because I really don't take Morbid Orb that much. I think it's like Jack-o'-lantern power. I think it's weaker than Jack-o'-lantern for sure though, so I'll put it in high 8. But it's definitely on par with Jack-o'-lantern where it's proccing a lot of pegs. Okay. No, it's a 4 rate at max power. Like, that's really big numbers. If you can get big numbers on Morbid Orb, and maybe like a pumpkin pie proc so that he goes through. I know I'm just trying to explain Jack-o'-lantern in a different light, man. Morbid Orb can do some very serious stuff. Necromancer, look, I hate to say it, maybe it's balanced. But my recent runs with it have just not been good. Just sure, it's the highest damage orb in the game at the base level, but maybe more. I mean, maybe on goblins more. Bramble, I think I maybe could put it here. I'll put it in high B. The thing is, you really, like I said, with Infernal, that health burn really does actually add up over time, and it's quite painful to shoot your anti-boss tool, and then like half the time they're going to be immune to Bramble. The overflow is like not going to proc, and sometimes like they're still going to get to you somehow. And of course, there's the part where enemies are once they're at you, in front of you, Bramble's not exactly going to do much. All right, lovely. We have Nimble. I like Nimble. I think the new Roundel really appreciates Nimble quite a bit. Honestly, maybe even consistently take, because I feel like I've been consistently taking on my Roundel runs. The crit stuff on Roundel has it's like it turned around once it achieved Heavy Hand and Constructive Criticism. Both of them there's now just enough crit effects and like spam proccing effects on Roundel that it's just a really good idea to try and support that strategy. And Nimble's a great way to do so. Not so Batu. Yeah, definitely. I'll put it up with Balm. I'll put it here. I think that it's not necessarily an insta take. Okay. Guideline. It's not necessarily an insta take because I'm not going to be taking it all of the time, but it's healing, and healing is basically an insta take. If you don't have healing, Nosferatu is an insta take. It's just so good, and most of the time you're more than happy to just tank that 15 health. Sometimes you can even gain good benefits off of that 15 health you just lost. I think Offering's garbage. I think you can get good use out of it, but I have not been able to, so Offering is just going to be rated extremely low for me. The problem is you need to hit pegs for it to do something, and if you're hitting pegs, you're happy. So, if you're getting bad shots, it's pretty useless. Oh my god. Now I'm tempted to chuck it there. Obviously, we're only talking about Oh My Gob in the instance of Area 1 or Area 2, because you're probably not going to pick up on Oh My Gob in Area 3, because let's be honest, if you get to Area 3, you don't need an Oh My Gob. But for getting you through Areas 1 and 2, Oh My Gob is just so good. Like, you chuck some upgrades on this baby early on, it's dealing like 13 damage on a crit or something per peg. Like, that's going to obliterate everything. I've one-shot, like, plant fights because of it. I've probably also one-shot, like, I think I got massive damage on Minotaurs, way more damage than I expected. Obelisk, I think Obelisk is pretty garbage. I understand that you could get more use out of it, but no, I'm just going to rate it pretty low. Oblation. I actually did have a use of Oblation recently, because the damage that it dealt to me gave me shield, and I had Alien's Rock. I believe I still lost that run. I don't think you guys saw it, and if you guys didn't see it, then it was definitely lost. It was a good run as well, so kind of sad that it lost, but that's just the way it goes. Ouroboros. Now, Ouroboros, oh god. I wish that I could rate the older Ouroboros, because let me tell you, that was a whole different beast. That was an amazing thing. Current Ouroboros, though, yeah, very fair. I'll just chuck it. No, B has its uses. It does have its uses. It's pretty unfair for me to chuck it in C, but new Ouroboros is really rough, especially when you consider the fact that Horrible is a thing that exists. And Horrible is not removable from your decks. The Ouroboros event removing your entire deck, which is the best part of it, by the way. it keeps a really bad orb in your deck. So now you've got two bad orbs in your deck because Ouroboros is not actually that good of an orb. Orbration. Yeah, I'm just gonna check up there. So I'm basically solely talking about Belan here because I'm pretty sure Peglin Tuition can also get this orb. If it can't, then my point is further reinforced. But this is just so good. Like if you can find a circle synergy or self damage synergy or that kind of stuff, or healing as well, that works as well. Or you just have enough of a shield that it doesn't matter. Then you're really going to appreciate the Circle this gives you, and it gives you a lot of Circle. Like it's just untapped Circle. It's just so handy to have access to, and picking it up to high roll off of it also a really good idea. Orbsium. I'd say I consistently take. I really love Orbsium, so I can't afford to put in anything lower than S, and I'm going to pretend that I do consistently take it, even though I'm pretty sure I don't. It's such a good orb, and you can get such amazing shots off of it. Like, you'd think the fact that it was heavy, dense and large as well, I believe. Makes me lost. I definitely consistently take it though, guys. Like, come on. Yeah, but even with it being dense and large, like you can still get pretty amazing shots of it. Sometimes even because it's large. Obust is just oh god, very solid. Obust is just a very solid orb. It's very good. You get good stats. If you have stat improvements, it gives you even more stats, which is good. Like Obust makes me very happy to pick like Ring of Reuse up. It's really nice. Pebble. So I'd say the Pebble is actually very solid. So this is for a few reasons. Now this might be a bit of a crazy take. The reason why Pebble is bad is mostly because of Crucible 1. I like Crucible 1 absolutely crushes the Pebble. It would be so much better if Crucible 1 didn't exist. But that one crit damage, I mean, that makes a massive difference. You may not get what I'm talking about, but the more you play high level of Crucible, like just imagine that Pebble was dealing +1 crit damage. Oh god, it would have helped you out so much. And of course, the secondary reason why I'm placing Pebble here is because it costs 0 in the store. Now that may not seem like the greatest thing ever, and it's probably not enough to place it at this point. But honestly, it's kind of funny that I'm placing it at this point, which is part of the third reason why I'm doing it. But just the opportunity to pick up pebbles for free in the store, like it's a really nice opportunity to have. Potion Bolt deals so much damage to enemies; it heals you so much. It's just it's so insane. It's actually the definition of instant anti. Yeah. I don't insta-take both of them. They're both so strong that I don't insta-take them, right? Like, a lot of this category is getting up to the point where, like, this orb is so strong that I don't always insta-take it just so I can do other stuff. But Potion Ball deals so much damage, so much upgrading potential, and so much healing, and also damage reduction. God, that damage reduction can save you in Sapper fights. It's just so handy. Here we have Refurbisher. Yep. The damage, the peg upgrading upgrades just sucked. I don't think it's worth playing. I haven't actually played it since the most recent buff, but like just take Sword Orb. Sure, it's like it's more than Sword Orb, but being able to deal damage is really important because if you shoot your Refurbisher, let's say 2 times, when you shoot your Refurbisher the 3rd time, you want to be hitting the upgraded pegs that you've already upgraded and dealing damage because of that. And deals no damage is an effect that means that you deal no damage, so you're not actually gaining those benefits, which is why I'm just checking a please buff, because deals no damage plus upgrading pegs is a very interesting conundrum that, yeah, it's just not worth it a lot of the time. Replenishable, very solid. Refreshers are really good. It doesn't have the best damage, but it doesn't need to because it's creating refreshers, and refreshers gives you more damage. Refresh Circle. I'm chucking that in S++. If you don't have refreshers, pick up Refresh Circle. If you do have refreshers but have refresh energy, pick up Refresh Circle. I think you understand the general drift here, but refreshing is a really strong effect, and you really just want to be maximizing it whenever you can. Renewed Vigor. I take it consistently. I think that's pretty fair to say. It's got a lot of good refresh synergy. If you have Leaf, it's absolutely amazing. I sometimes pick up Renewed Vigor and have it level 3 just to high roll into Leaf. Like, all of that lovely Circle, don't mind if I do. I think that you can get a lot of value for Renewed Vigor, and it's just very worth that spot. Restore. I wouldn't say consistently takes particularly fair for it, but it's a lot of healing and it's a lot of max health, and it's definitely worth the 85 instant gold to. It's more than that. It's worth the extra gold to just upgrade it more. Like, it's just really nice. It's an 8 health tempo swing. 8 health is around about the tempo swing where you're beginning to counteract what the enemy's just dealt to you most of the time. Of course, we have the fights like in the Area 2, which are way more brutal than that. Roundabout. Now, Roundabout in theory should actually be decent. I'll put it in as its uses because I haven't actually used it because I don't really like to use orbs that have a lesser impact on my game plan, especially when you have like evasive maneuver, which is achieving a similar kind of game plan to what you want to be achieving with it, whereas high growth damage and it's somehow getting around shields. But yeah, I think it's probably solid, but I cannot place it higher than that. Rubber Orb. I think Rubber Orb is very solid. It is definitely consistently big. It's very solid, but the thing is, it's bouncy, and then your next shot is bouncy. And there are some orbs here which are absolutely insane to go bouncy. And a lot of these orbs here are very, very solid to have bouncy. These ones definitely matters much less, but just being able to make any of these orbs bouncy, it's really, really strong. There's a reason why Rubble is so high. There's a reason why House of Slime was also so high. Bouncy has a really strong effect. It allows you to hit so many more pegs. Sure, sometimes it has its downsides. But the fact that you've got your current shot, which is pretty solid, like sure, it's what a level 2 Rubble, like that's decent. And then your next shot is going to be even more amazing, and it could be crazy. Like a bouncy Splatter, that's nuts. Splatter, if you can add more momentum to it, is really good. I'm just going to check that there. That's terrible, right? No, it does have its uses. It's small, and it means you have a small orb in your deck, and there are some shots you can only do because you're small, like sniping into the bombs on that specific map, if you know what I'm talking about with the three lots of bombs. Anyway, Splatter. This is interesting. Alright, kind of psychotic. Kind of psychotic. I'm putting in S++. Yeah. Yeah, I'm putting in S++. In high levels of Crucible, you're very happy to have a Splatter in your deck, and you're generally going to have a level 3 Splatter in your deck by the end of the run, and it's generally going to do pretty well. Splatter is actually a really decent orb, and you get it for free on Spin Venter, and has +1/+2 because of Spin Venter originality, and Slime to Peg is generally pretty good. It's very easy to find high roll for this on Spin Venter, and it's just a really good orb in general. Like, Peglin Tuition will happily pick this up. On top of that, it's common for Peglin Tuition, so easier to pick up, which is cool. Yeah, it's really good. And the thing is, it's a starting orb. And I have rated starting orbs probably slightly higher than you would expect to see them, like Dago here, really. But I think it deserves it. This should be Believiation, I believe. I don't think I've rated Believiation, so I'll rate Believiation. It definitely has its uses. Damage reduction slime is very helpful, but let's be real. Are you really going to shoot your damage reduction slime and then get really good use out of it? Like, did you somehow get a really good shot because you needed, what, like 12 pegs to get one slime? And then B, have the immediate use for it the next shot because the slimes immediately evaporate, by the way. Yeah, I don't use this orb, so it's very hard for me to rate properly, but it definitely, I'd say it has its uses because damage reduction slime is good. It's just that if I want damage reduction slime, would you look at that? Prime Slime and Potion Ball, they're both really high rated orbs, and that's because the orb is in their pool, the slime is in their pool. Shock Absorber, I think it's a very solid orb. I think I should be picking up more than I'm picking it up. It can actually do a lot of damage, and reduced damage from Sabbers can be a massive deal. Don't sleep on reduced damage from Sabbers. It's actually a very good line of text, which is looked behind level 3, so a bit harder to see, but it's very worth it. Reorganizer. This is spicy. Reorganizer. I'm so tempted to put in S++. It's very solid. Yeah, as I said, these are guidelines. Obviously, I don't insta-take split-ups, but guidelines. Yeah, the damage on Reorganizer means that I'm basically always happy to pick up a Reorganizer. If you've got an upgraded Reorganizer from early on, I'm probably picking that up. It's a really, really amazing high roll later on if you get the Shuffle Bot, and it's just good damage. Like, just picking up a good damage orb because it's good damage, it's good damage. I have no clue what these two are, I'm just ignoring them. Signal Boost Orb. I'd say B has its uses. I don't think it deserves A. I think that a 4x multiplier, it sounds insane. But a lot of the time, you're probably just going to want to attach that to AoE or multi-procking, and there's a ton of AoE or multi-procking in these two tiers, which is really quite good. And this is just unfortunately single target, so you're going to need either Overwhelmer, Primal of Frost, or Orb if you want to do something more than just hitting one enemy once. A lot of the time you can get, you really do want to kill that one enemy, but, you know, for the times where you don't. Sphere. Sphere is very solid. I'll chuck it in S. Obviously, I don't consistently take it. As I said, these are more like guidelines, especially for starting passives, which I think are generally really good. Is the targeting orb? Oh, weird. Well, I'll have to rate it. Where was I? Sphere. Yeah. The upgrades on Sphere, having 3 levels of Pierce, that's basically an AoE on the bottom floor. It's actually really handy. The upgrades are also +1/+2. So it's just generally really decent upgrades. And I probably should be doing it more. Yeah, I should definitely be doing it more, let's be real. But I don't. I feel like... Yeah, no. Wasn't that a thing back when I was... It's been a while since I've actually tried to do Belen Cruci. That's because high levels of Cruci are not the most fun. But yeah, wasn't that a thing where I would upgrade my sphere to level pierces two enemies? So to level two, so it pierces two enemies, so that if I fight plants, I can just get like a good 120 damage or something. It's probably about how much damage you get on the rolls in Cruci 18 or something. Like 120 health on off of all slimes, that's pretty handy to have. I think that it's very fair to put in that tier. I don't know what these are. They look cool. I haven't seen them in game. Maybe they're part of the beta. Susceptible. I think susceptible is cool. The big reason why it's this high is because if you have tons of crits on the boards, it's probably worth it to pick up, as well as it's a targeting orb. So if you have Alien's Rock, it's probably also worth it to pick up, especially if you also have crits on the board. But apart from that, you're not really going to get too much use out of it. It has low damage if I remember correctly, and it's a setup orb, so just a bit tougher to use than general. Swashbuckle Orb. I want Swashbuckle Orb to be interesting. I really do. I've done some Swashbuckle runs in the past where I focused solely on Swashbuckle Orb. It was even a custom run, so even better focus, right? And then I found a Machoska, and the Machoska was better than the Swashbuckle. Wow, would you look at that? Yeah, I want to see Swashbuckle. It's like definitely the orb I want to see the most interesting, because right now I just don't think it's that interesting. Sort of. It deals damage, and it has good amounts of upgrade. I say it just fits the build very solid. I don't pick it up often. I could probably pick it up more often. If you have any kind of multi-ball, or say a summoning circle, my temptation to pick up Sword Orb rises a lot. It's quite solid. Here's Swarb. Now, Swarb is a orb on the land that gives you a lot of starting shield. Do I need to explain more? Just because of that, you are going to take it quite a bit. Swarb on Belen, like I said, the fact that it actually has decent crit damage is really nice on Belen, because you don't want to fully hedge into Circle, and a lot of the time you're going to find tons of good Circle scaling. So when you do hit that crit because you don't have Unpretentious Amulet, oh by the way, like you always want Unpretentious Amulet, just because removing that crit so that you can focus fully on your Circle scaling, that's amazing. But when you do hit the crit with on your Swarb, you want it to be dealing solid damage, and luckily it has that. It's not the craziest damage interval difference, but yeah, like you're going to very quickly outpace that with the circle, so facing the other way. That's fine. Toil and Trouble. I'd say this is definitely worse than Spinfectious Sting, despite the fact that it probably does more. I think I'll put in B has its uses. Like Spinfectious Sting, you're probably going to pick it up if you want Spinfection application, because when you want Spinfection application, you need it. Like, it's just Spinception, or it's Crystal Catalyst and Mask of Story, perhaps. Just so many good ways to do it. I don't know what I'm looking at here. Here we have the anti-shield peg, of course. Is this really all of the pegs? I may have to do a little quick check and we'll see which ones I'm missing. This is the anti-shield peg. I'd say it has its uses. It's really bad. When I picked it up, I was just so disappointed with what it was doing. Unfortunately, the stuff that it counters is not the most interesting, and a lot of the stuff up the top here also counters it without specifically going out of the way to make itself worse in doing so. Like, AoE just counters a lot of what it tries to do. And that's the way how it goes with Overflow, really. Overflow Orbs, a bit unfortunate. You'd rather just have straight AoE in general. Wow, so yeah, I've reached the end of the list, and I just went through all of the ones I'm missing. I'm still missing quite a lot, and the thing is, this video has already gotten much longer than I would have liked it to be, so I think I'll cover the rest of these in the next video. Most of them should be pretty simple. I'm just going to go through them now. Tomahawk, Balance, Best Orb Fence, Bully Bull, Chopping Bollock, Cleave Orb, Counter Attack, Critical, Darkness Eternal, Double Edged Sword, Eviscerate, Exacerbate, Instigate Orb, Opposite Reaction, Protect Orb, Spin Point, Summoning Circle, Horrible, Evasive Maneuver Orb, Elude Circle, and Docked Orb. Now I may have missed more than those. If I do, feel free to tell me what they were. But next video I'm going to be ranking them all. So yeah, I think that so far I like a lot of what I've done here. I think a lot of this is very fair. Maybe a few of my picks, like Pebble being very solid, is a bit rough, but the thing is you actually get a lot of value out of Pebble. You may not notice it as much because obviously it's the starting orb, so it's quite dull, but I'd say it does deserve the spot, especially since I did mention a few of the reasons why I thought it deserved the spot.